Okay, so we're going to be factoring this polynomial completely given x minus 6 is one of the factors. Okay? First of all, how many factors could this polynomial potentially have? 3. Why do you know it could have 3 factors? That's the highest power that you see in the polynomial. So it potentially could have 3 factors. Doesn't mean it has to have 3 factors, it just means that is the maximum number of factors it could have. Okay? If they give you one of the factors, what are you going to have to do to find the other factors? Divide by this. So I'm going to have to take x cubed minus 10x squared plus 19x plus 30 and divide it by x minus 6. Because if I divide it by that, hopefully then I can figure out the other factors that go into the original polynomial. Okay? So, the method we used yesterday was long division. That would look like this. Okay? So x minus 6 is being divided into x cubed minus 10x squared plus 19x plus 30. Okay? If I'm doing this the long division route, this is what I would do. Okay? And here's how I think. X goes into x cubed how many times? X times what gives you x cubed? X squared, right? Okay? So I put an x squared right up here. What do I do with that x squared? Multiply by what's in front. So I take x squared times x, which will be x cubed. I take x squared times negative 6, which would be negative 6x squared. And then what do I do with this? Subtract it. So if I subtract this, this one will become a minus, that one will become a plus. I draw my line, and now I do the math, add my like terms. X cubes are gone. How many x squared do I have now? Negative 4x squared, right? Plus 19x plus 30. And now I just repeat the process. X times what gives me negative 4x squared? Negative 4x. What do I do with the negative 4x? Multiply by what's in front. What will I get? Negative 4x squared. Negative 4x times negative 6.
24x.
Plus 24x, right? What do I have to do with that amount? Subtract it, right? So this will become plus, that will become minus. They cancel out. 19x plus negative 24x. Caleb? 19x plus negative 24x. What?
Negative 5.
Negative 5x. Okay? Now what do I need to think, Paul?
What times x minus 6 gets negative 5x?
Just really, don't even worry about the minus 6 part, but x times what gives you negative 5x? And what is our answer, Connor? X times what gives us negative 5x? Negative 5. Right? Alright, Haley Kozad, what do I do with this negative 5 now? Multiply it by what's in front, right? What do you get when you multiply it by what's in front? Negative 5x plus 30, because negative 5 times x gives me negative 5x. Negative 5x times negative 6 would give me a positive 30. Okay? So negative 5x plus 30. What do I got to do with that amount? Subtract it, which means I just change the signs. And what better happen each time?
You get 0.
You get 0, because it's a factor, right? It should go into it evenly. Okay?
Will it be some of the tests like they don't go into?
No. If I tell you this is a factor, it's like me telling you 3 is a factor of 12. Why is 3 a factor of 12? Well, because if you take 12 divided by 3, you don't get a remainder, right? It goes into it evenly.
Okay.
That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? Alright, so, good. Now I got an answer. And what's the best part about that answer? What are you going to be able to do with that answer now? Factor it. Okay? You can factor this. You did that all chapter 4. You worked on factoring quadratics. Okay? So right now I'm just going to rewrite it. Okay? A little help help again. What was the original polynomial? F of x equals x cubed
Minus 10x squared plus 19x plus 30.
Okay, so that's what I had to begin with, right? Then I divided it by x minus 6. So now I have x minus 6, and what was our answer?
X squared minus 4x minus 5.
X squared minus 4x minus 5. So I factored it that far, right? Because this times this would give me this. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
That's what we did. That's why we did the long division. We took this divided by this, and that was our answer. So now obviously those two things multiplied together would equal back what we started with. Can I factor this further?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That should be a pretty easy factor. So I have f of x equals x minus 6. What are my two factors here? What times what would multiply to make that?
Negative 4.
X
Negative 5.
minus 5 and x plus 1?
Yeah.
X minus 5 and x plus 1? Because you need the numbers that multiply to negative 5 and add to negative 4. So one's a negative 5, one's a positive 1 there. And now do you have it factored completely?
Yes. Wait. Yes.
Yep, because each factor is a linear factor. Each factor is down to where x is just a power of 1. So you have as far as you can factor it. Okay? There are 3 factors. It also means then there are how many places where this crosses the x-axis? 3. So if I were to graph this function, where would it cross the x-axis? 6, 5, negative 1. 6, 5, and negative 1. Because if you plug in a 6 for x, what do you get for y? If you plug in a 6 for x, what will you get for y? 0. If you plug in a 5 for x, what will you get for y?
0.
If you plug in a negative 1 for x, what will you get for y? Okay?
0.
0. What's negative 1 plus 1?
No, you said negative one. I said there's possible.
Oh, no, negative 1. Negative 1 is where it crosses the x-axis. Because if you plug in a negative 1 for x, you'll get 0 for y. Negative 1, comma 0.
Okay.
Because what's negative 1? If I plug in a negative 1 here, what's negative 1 plus 1?
0.
Times anything is still going to be 0, right? So positive 6 is a 0, positive 5 is a 0, and negative 1 is a 0. Those are the zeros of the function. Those are the solutions of the function. Those are where the graph crosses the x-axis. Do you get it now?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody? Okay on that? How am I doing on time? 8 minutes, I think I got time. Okay, so, watch this. That was long division. That was a quick review on long division again. Now, let me give you the shortcut method, the synthetic division. Okay? It's more of a trick. You have to memorize the trick. We could get into why it works, but I think that'll just take too long. Long division works every time. Synthetic can work every time, but sometimes you got to make them become fractions. Okay? So, in this problem, we were dividing x cubed minus 10x squared plus 19x plus 30 by x minus 6, right? That's what we were doing in that problem. Okay, to do synthetic division, first of all, you write down the numbers that are the coefficients and the constant, starting from the highest power down to the lowest power. You kind of spread them out. So I got 1x cubed, I got negative 10x squared, I got 19x, and I got 30. I don't write the x's, I just kind of space out those numbers that are right here. Okay? I'd probably just watch here, guys, as opposed to copying it down. I'll leave it up there so you can copy it down. I just watch right now, plus I need to get done in less than 15 minutes here, so just kind of watch. So everybody see where I got these numbers from. Because I'm dividing by x minus 6, because x minus 6 is a factor, what do we know is the 0 of the function? 6. So I'm going to put 6 over here in a box. Okay? I'm going to put 6 over here in a box, and I'm going to draw a line right here. Okay? Now watch what I do. The very first number we always just automatically drop below the line. So I'm going to put that 1 right down here. That's where I'm getting that 1 from. Once I get a number below the line, I take that number times what's in the box and put the answer right underneath the next number. So 1 times 6 gives me 6. I'm going to put it right here. Okay? Then I'm going to add right here to get my next number that comes down here. Negative 10 plus 6 gives me negative 4, right? Then I repeat the process. I take this number times what's in the box. What's negative 4 times 6?
Negative 24.
Negative 24. I put that answer right here. What am I going to do with the 19 to 24? Negative 24. I'm going to add it and get negative 5. Then I repeat the process. Negative 5 times 6 gives me negative 30. I'm going to add, and I better get 0. Okay? Now, how is this your answer? Okay, let me show you. I started with x to the third power, right? X to the third plus all this. I started with x to the third power, and I divided it by an x, correct? When you take an x to the third and you divide it by an x, what do you get?
X squared.
X squared. So x squared is going to go with this 1. So I have 1x squared minus 4x minus 5. There's my answer, just like you got doing long division. 1x squared minus 4x minus 5.
How'd you get the x squared again?
Your
just take an
answer will
x
always
out of-
start 1 power less than what your original problem had in it. So I started with an x to the 4th and I divided, then this would be an x to the 3rd. And so on. I probably have to do multiple synthetic divisions to get it down to a squared before you could factor it again. Okay? So, this synthetic division, while it's kind of a trick, it's definitely a lot shorter than long division. But you get the same answer.